was brought to cabinet, approved by cabinet, and launched by the Minister of Agriculture, who has been talking about it. We have a plan for solid minerals. It was brought to council, approved by council, and the solid minerals minister is here, and he will talk about it. We have a plan for water resources. It was brought to council, approved by council, and the Minister of Water Resources has also announced it. But I do agree that we do need to expand this to a more comprehensive document that has all the different plans in one booklet. And we also need to use more of social media. Some of us, because of my generation, I'm not as listed with social media. But we're recruiting some young people who are going to help me in terms of reaching out to all those people. So the point I want to make is this: I concede and I accept that if you say you have not heard, then we haven't communicated. Because communication must put something across. And so I've heard you and I've heard the message, and we are going to much more aggressively put out what we're doing, because this government is committed. We are committed to changing things in this country. Many of us have left what we're doing in order to, because we believe in what President Muhammadu Buhari and Professor Yemi Osinbajo, what they stand for. We believe in their integrity and the anti-corruption stance. So what we want to do is to work with them, support them, and get these things done. I have every confidence that we will achieve it. And that, as I said, if you go through this document, you will see that in almost every area, it does address the issues. In agriculture, we talk about being self-sufficient in rice by 2018, in wheat by 2019. We talk about deregulating the petroleum sector, and this was before we actually did it. It was already in this document, and we did it. We spoke about freeing up the exchange rate. It was in this document before we actually did it, and we did it. So basically, this government has shown that we are serious, we are committed, and we are serious about doing everything that we say we are going to do. But as I said, we will produce a more comprehensive document that will bring in all the various policies which we have announced and which we're implementing, so that people can have in a single document the plans of the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Dodoma. Thank you. There is absolutely no doubt that a lot of Nigerians, including international leaders, they acknowledge the commitment of the president, the vice president, and the ministers, and they're commended for that level of commitment. But let me take you in a direction similar but different. That is in the issue of a double-barrel question here now. The budget 2016, can we have a brief insight into where we are with this? And the second part of that double-barrel question is, we understand that 720 or 750 billion naira is about to be released as capital to be spent to help with reflating our economy. If that is the case, when do we expect to see this infused into the system in such a way that we actually feel that there is new money in the system?
Thank you very much. We have had a revenue challenge. That is the truth. As of half year, we got only a little over about 55% of what we were expecting to get as of half year. And the situation now is slightly better, but not that much better. So consequently, our first call is, of course, personnel emoluments. So that is paid in full. That has to be. It's an obligation. Somebody works for you, he must be paid. That's the first charge. Overheads, we've not been able to meet our full listing of overheads. We've cut overheads. But we have tried to support capital as much as possible, because the idea of the 2016 budget was to reflate the economy. And therefore we voted 30% for capital. And we concentrated that capital on infrastructure, on roads, on rail, and so on. We have had serious shortfalls there. And that is why we're trying to fast track some of the loans that we're trying to get, international loans. We're hoping to get the EDB one this month. We're hoping to get the World Bank one soon. We're also doing a Eurobond. So it is the funding constraints that we've had. But in terms of our priorities, in the past, we used to release money quarterly for capital based on how much you have. So if the capital budget is 100 billion and we have 30, we give 30% across the board. We have stopped that. If what we have is 30 out of 100, we now have each MDA apply for that priority. We go through each one and we see the ones that have the greatest impact on employment, the greatest impact on stimulating the economy, and we fund those ones first. And which was why we have given the largest amount has gone to the Minister of Power Works and Housing for roads. But unfortunately, the impact hasn't been felt as much. I was myself surprised, given the amount of money that we released, how come we didn't see the impact? The minister explained to me that for the last 3-4 years, we've not been paying our debts. So we accumulated huge amounts of debts. Consequently, he's trying to work out something whereby he tells the contractor, okay, you use a third for what we're owing, maybe use 2/3. He's trying to work out arrangements. But these huge accumulated debts in every area, huge accumulated debts in cash calls, $6 billion, not paid, that we accumulated. So consequently, unfortunately, the ministers are trying to see how best they can manage to persuade contractors to use most of the money that they're getting, for current projects as opposed to going to settle back debts. So this is really the reality on the ground.
And how much does Nigeria owe right now?
Well, how much Nigeria as a country?
Owes, yes.
No, you have, what I'm talking about is that you have different, in different ministries.
I know, but overall, how much is Nigeria's debt?
I couldn't give you the exact figure, but I can get back to you on
But you're
that.
the minister of the budget.
Sorry?
You're a minister of the budget. So tell us, how much does Nigeria owe?
I can tell you the fiscal deficit. I can tell you the fiscal deficit. But until everybody, all the various ministers, we have a committee that is looking at all the debts. Okay. Right now, we have a committee that is scrutinizing all the debts.
Ladies and gentlemen,
can I have your attention, please?
Sorry, Honorable Minister. Sorry,
Have your
Honorable
attention,
Minister.
please. In the 2016 budget, the fiscal deficit was 2.2 trillion. However, in terms of the overall amount of debt, we have a committee because some of those debts may end up not being, can't be supported. So we're looking at contractor debts. We have a committee that's analyzing all these debts. And as soon as they finish, we will publish the figure.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Dr. Khalifai. Some of us have seen some of the work that is being done by Ministry of Solid Mineral. It will help Nigerians to know, because some of us have seen you on television talking about there are solid minerals up to about 100, 200 or more that Nigerians have not been tapping into. We've ignored this because we're so obsessed with oil and gas. Now, the good news is solid mineral is an area that we can make gains and we can say proudly made in Nigeria. What are the specifics that we can point to, and how can the business sector represented by a large number of people here and those watching at home, how do they tap into it to be able to get something from the soil and also add value to it so that we're not exporting raw materials again?
Thank you, Kadi. Well, when I became Minister of Mines and Steel, one of the very first questions I asked myself was, why is a mineral-rich country not a mining nation? And of course, you've answered that partly. Our obsession with oil was responsible for the departure from our old